Okay, so we're good to go.
Okay, welcome everyone to the January Rogues Cpac meeting. Happy New Year to everyone. And we will start by calling the meeting to order. This is Chair Friedman speaking, and I hereby call the meeting to order. And we'll start with roll call.
This is Darrell with the clerk of the board. Member Bowman.
Good evening and present.
Okay, Member Corcos.
I am here.
Member Lease.
I'm here.
Member Starkovic.
I'm here.
Okay, Member Walter. Member Woods.
Here.
And Member Friedman.
Present.
And you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. And we do have on the agenda, I don't know if it was on last time, but we have the Pledge of Allegiance on in sort of our Fair Oaks Cpac tradition. Member Wood, would you be able to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I would be happy to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Member Wood. We look forward to the time when you'll be able to bring our flag with you, and we'll be present together to say the pledge together. So thank you. So I'll start by reading some procedures for the Cpac meeting. Some of these are related specifically to this being a web and dial-in meeting. So be patient, as some of them will apply to future meetings relating to comments and things like that. So in compliance with directives of the county, state, and Centers for Disease Control, this meeting is live streamed and closed to the public attendance. Meeting procedures are subject to change pursuant to guidelines related to social distancing and minimizing person-to-person contact. To make live meeting comment, likely you would already know how to do this since you're listening in now, but for future reference, you can make a verbal public comment during the meeting. At this time, we will be limiting the comments to 3 minutes. Public comment phone line will open 15 minutes prior to the start of the meeting. You can refer to the agenda and listen to the live meeting to determine when is best to call to be placed in the queue to make a public comment. Callers may be on hold for an extended period of time and should plan accordingly. To make public comment, you would dial 916-875-2500. I'm going to repeat that, 916-875-2500, and follow the prompts to be placed in a queue for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. When the chair opens public comment for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter, callers will be transferred from the queue into the meeting to make a verbal comment. Each agenda item queue will remain open until the public comment period is closed for that specific item. For written comments, likely to apply only for future meetings, send an email comment to boardclerk@saccounty.net. That's boardclerk@saccounty.net. Include the meeting date and agenda item number or off-agenda item. Contact information is optional. You can mail a comment to 700 H Street, Suite 2450, Sacramento, California, 95814. Include the meeting date and agenda item number or off-agenda item. And contact information is optional. And written comments are distributed to members, filed in the record, and will not be read aloud, although may be referenced. To view the meeting will be streamed live through Blue Jean Events. Members of the public may watch and or listen to the meeting as follows. For video, audio from a PC or from a mobile device, it's https://primetime.bluejeans.com/A2M//FHAQ-CGXA. And that is on the agenda, which is posted on the Sac County website. For video or audio from a mobile device, you may need to enter the ID code, which is FHAQ-CGXA. And for teleconference, so dial-in only, the number is 415-466-3683. 7000, and the PIN is 5694786 pound. Meeting materials may be found, the online version of the agenda and associated materials, sccob.saccounty.net. That's sccob.saccounty.net. And you can click on Community Planning Advisory Councils and the respective Cpacs. So in this case, Fair Oaks. Some documents may not be posted online because of the size or formats, for example, maps, and renderings. You can contact the clerk at 916-874-5411 to obtain copies of the documents. Accommodations for the meeting pursuant to the Americans with Disabilities Act should be made with the clerk by phone, and California Relay Service 711 for hearing impaired, or board clerk at saccounty.net prior to the meeting. So I'm now going to review just a couple of meeting procedures that we follow for every item, just for those who may be new to attending a Cpac meeting. So just so you all know, Cpac meetings are, the Cpac itself is a recommending, not a decision-making committee. So any item that we hear goes to a further hearing body and eventually may be heard up to the decision of the Board of Supervisors. Our process at the Cpac is that the county staff will present on an item first. Following that, the Cpac members will ask questions of the county staff relating to their presentation. The applicant for the item will have an opportunity to present, and Cpac members will then ask them questions. Public comment will be opened or referenced if it was sent in, and the comments should be directed to the Cpac members if they are live rather than to the applicant. The applicant may then respond. They'll have an opportunity following that. And then Cpac will comment, discuss, and vote if the item is one in which we will vote on. All votes will be done as a roll call, so that can be entered into the record. And when speaking, please state your name for the record. So at this point, I don't think we have any announcements ahead, so we can jump right into the first item. And that item is ELNP 2020-00131, Grace Bible Church expansion. So do we have a member of the county staff here to present on that item?
This is
Rajay, are you there? Oh, okay.
Billette should be coming on. I see that he's logged in.
Okay, yeah, I do see that he is. I unmuted his mic. I don't hear him saying anything, so I'm not sure. Maybe.
Then I will move forward with the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, this is Madam Mejia, Senior Planner. This is the Grace Bible Church expansion. And like I said, my name is Madam Mejia. So next slide, please. This is a church located, bouncing around with of course, this is, if you want to come on, these are the planning documents. I think the chair pretty much stated all this information when she presented the first part of it. Move on to the next slide. This is a church located at 5010 Hazel Avenue at the southwest corner of Hazel Avenue and Cedar Village Drive intersection. Pretty much between Hazel and the freeway. I mean, excuse me. I think it's between, I want to say Greenback, I think, in the freeway. Next slide. This request is for a use permit amendment to allow expansion of an existing church by increasing the assembly use to 800 persons, the expansion of the private K-12 school to allow up to 300 students, and the future construction of a 25,000 square foot new buildings and additions to replace existing modular buildings and construction of new parking. Also includes a design review to comply with the countywide design guidelines. There is an existing use permit granted in 1984. The use permit was approved and to legalize an existing church with school and allow the mobile home to be placed on the property as a residence. Next slide. Additional information on this one is the project is separated into two phases. Phase one, which is what they're doing now, is near-term plan to add 24 new parking spaces, new landscaping, and new driveways on a western portion of the property. Phase two, and this can happen at any time in the future, is for the master plan for an expansion involving the construction of a 25,000 square foot in new buildings, addition to the replacing the existing modular buildings and construction of new parking. No set timeline for the future development has been done by the church. However, phase one development is target for the 2022 to 2023. Substantial future development shown in the master plan range from 5 to 20 years. The reason for this right now is that the County Department of Transportation has initiated the process of widening Hazel Avenue, as we all know. As a result, the northern entrance to the campus along Hazel Avenue is being redesigned, and 21 existing parking spaces will be replaced with the 24 spaces that are proposed under phase one. Next slide. Again, this is the site plan, and you saw there the darkened area. That's pretty much the new parking area with the existing driveway on Hazel being closed off, and then there will be a new driveway down to the south of the property that will access this point. Again,
I'm sorry, Manuel, this is Darrell, yes, the clerk of the board. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I do have Paul G. He's in.
Okay, great.
I just unmuted him. Can you hear me?
Hi, yes. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, okay, we can hear you now. Sorry about that.
Why don't you take forward?
No. Yeah, thank you very much, Mary, and I think you covered it excellently. I don't have much to add. It looks like we're just going through the plans right now, but if we can go back to provide some context as to the project itself. The applicant has indicated that the existing congregation size is about 600 members, and the service is staggered across the weekend. The most recent pre-COVID enrollment count available for the school was about 160 students, but throughout the history of the church, the enrollment had reached upwards of 300 students. And it sounds like Manuel had already gone through how the project is split up into two different phases. What we're looking at right here is the phase one parking replacement plan. And development for this, while the timeline isn't certain, the target is 2022 or 2023. The County Department of Transportation has already initiated the process of the phase three widening project, Hazel Avenue widening project, and it encompasses a portion of Hazel Avenue that's north of Sunset Avenue to Madison Avenue. So the county project will widen the roadway from 4 to 6 lanes, provide landscape medians, sidewalk, and bike lanes, as well as providing traffic signals being added at the intersection with Road Digger Lane, where the north driveway of the church will be a part of the newly signalized intersection. So as a result, the north and south driveways of the campus are being redesigned as a part of the county project, and this requires 21 existing parking spaces to be replaced with the 24 that are proposed under the phase one parking lot. There is a slight correction on the bullet point from the previous slide. The northern driveway is not currently an entrance to the campus, but it is an exit only. So that new driveway will become a signalized part of the intersection and will have entrance and exit access for the campus. And we can skip on to the next two slides. Here we have the landscaping that's associated with the phase one development. Next slide, please. And here we have a master site plan where there is 25,000 square feet being proposed in both new buildings and building additions. And those additions are proposed as a way to replace existing modular buildings, as well as new parking being proposed as a part of this master future site development. And so 20,000 square feet of this is being proposed under the new building that you can see at the center of this site plan. And an additional 5,000 square feet will be in addition to the sanctuary building as well as the nursery. Next slide, please. Here we have a view of the landscaping associated with that master plan as well. And I think that concludes the presentation. Again, I am very sorry for the audio issues earlier, but I appreciate Manuel stepping in and covering it very well. So thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you. We appreciate your comments. This is Chair Friedman. At this time, we'll do any comments or questions we have from Cpac
Chair Wood, we do have one public comment for item 1. I would like to make an announcement to the public. If you're listening and you are trying to make a public comment, just bear with us. We have a new phone process that we're using, so you will have about 2 different sets of silence periods. Just hang on, you're not being disconnected. I'll be right with you. But please give me a few seconds to get the person on the line. Thank you.
Public comment right now.
Yeah, do we want to jump to
Oh, I'm
comment?
sorry. Were you? Oh, I thought that's what you were asking. I'm so sorry.
So sorry, we're going to start with Cpac members who have questions. Then we'll have the applicant presentation and then allow the public to comment. So I'll start by doing kind of a quick roll with the Cpac just so we don't miss anyone. Member Bowman, do you have any questions?
Not at this time. Thank you to the county for doing a thorough presentation that actually answered questions I did have.
Yeah, I'll say the same. The question about the assembly size, the school capacity, and the traffic light, those all were questions that I had written down. So I appreciate that context was already added. Member Corcos?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Elise?
No questions. The presentation was very good.
Member Starkovich?
No, just I appreciate the detail. Thank you very much. And just one comment. I appreciate that there will be a signalized intersection there with the fire station.
Agree. I don't think he's on the line, but just in case he's joined since, Member Walter? Yeah, I don't think he's.
I'm sorry, this is Darrell, the clerk of the board. He sent an email. He will not be able to make the meeting, so he will not be in attendance this evening.
Okay, thank you very much. And then Member Wood?
Very straightforward, no questions.
Yeah, I don't have any questions for the county either. We will let the applicant respond. I will say even before the applicant's presentation, having looked at the pictures first, which is something that I do, I did notice that there were some landscaping improvements that probably were in need. So I was happy to then read the presentation and see what was in the plans for the development, to see that that's a priority for the development of this space. And I think that we probably are all very happy about the traffic signal being put in that space. So we'll now go ahead and let the applicant present, and then following that we'll have the questions from the Cpac, and then after that we'll go to public comment. So is the applicant present?
Good evening, this is Brian Liebig from Grace Bible Church. Can everyone hear me?
Yep, we can.
Excellent, thank you. So thank you for considering this matter tonight. And Grace Bible Church is a longtime fixture in the community, being at this location since the 1950s, having a church and a school here. And we have recently, purchased a new parcel, the southern parcel. And so this is about planning for the future to make the most of the campus that it can be, and immediately to respond to the Hazel Avenue widening, as was pointed out, especially with phase 1, where we're losing parking and having our driveways realigned and needing to accommodate that for the future, and just trying to make the most of the opportunity for the better landscaping and master planning. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And this time I'll go in reverse order for the questions from the Cpac members. Member Wood? Applicant?
No questions.
Yep.
Good luck with your project.
Member Starkovich?
No questions. Thank you for your sensitivity to those issues.
That is no questions. Member Corcos? And Member Bowman?
No questions. Thank you.
I have one question for the applicant, and I may have missed this in the plans. So at this time, you'll end up with, I think it's 4 net new parking spaces after the loss, plus the ones that you're putting in. What is the total number of spaces, an estimate possibly, because I know that these plans are taking place possibly even over the next 15 to 20 years. What is the net new number of parking spaces you're hoping to have?
So I believe at the moment there's roughly 148 spots, and as we say, we're losing 21 and gaining 24 in the phase 1, and eventually the number will be around 200. Andre, do you have an exact number?
208 will be the eventual parking count. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's the only question I had. Looks like very nice improvements to the property and the space. And nice to hear that you are continuing to expand. So at this time, we will take questions from the public. So it sounds like we have one. We didn't have any that were sent in, but I believe we have one on the line. So we'll pause and be patient while they connect that person in. As they said, they have a new system, so we'll just be patient while they connect them in.
Thank you, Member Wood. Just 1 second.
And this is Andre Baranov. Again, sorry, I just verified that parking count. I was going off of an older number. That the number is 217 is what we're hoping to provide there on site.
And what's roughly the current count now?
148 is the current.
Great. Okay. And that comes pretty close to accommodating your needs at the moment.
Brian, how is
I guess I should say, maybe a year ago.
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah. So it does accommodate the current needs. There is a need to make sure that there's a Spanish church that also utilizes our facility, and so they meet in the afternoon in order to accommodate everyone. But yes, at the current moment, it is accommodated.
Thank you.
Okay, we have our public comment on the line. Sir, you have 3 minutes to make your comment. Please start now.
Hi, I want to address the topics that are going on tonight. One of my concerns is water. Looking at the plans, the proposed plans, it's showing that they're putting a parking lot at the back of our property, which is at the north back property, which is a shared easement that we've maintained, fenced in for over 20 years with oak trees we planted that have been up there for plus 20 years. And we're concerned about them putting a parking lot in the back and bringing it down the easement into our yard for the noise because there's been so much noise with the church having a school as small as it is now. Many of the neighbors have been having problems with noise. Now, the surface water I want to address is all the parking surface water on top of this church they're showing in all the new parking lot areas is adjacent to come down our culverts in front of my home, and I am the lowest home on Arobi Drive, which has flooded before when the church has piped water down to it. So my concerns are flooding. You know, blacktop water, any other rooftop water that's diverted down our streets. That's something that hasn't been addressed, just shown in the plan. And those are my concerns. Coming back into our backyard so far, because they want to take so much of the hill away. So those are my main concerns. Stormwater, it being coming down, the parking lot, the noise, the church growing, how much more noise, and the backyard. So it's the water and the pipe size coming down to it. You know, we need to know if they're going to pipe it underground and tie in, and if our pipes could even handle it now, because these streets swell up. Cedar Village swells up as well with water, so I'm not sure where they're going to redirect all this water when the neighborhoods right now, surrounding areas, are having problems digesting the water that we currently get. That is my main objective, is flooding.
So we'll give the applicant an opportunity to respond to that now.
Yeah.
And the county may have some information to add as well, but we'll start with the applicant.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Did that conclude your comment, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, this is Andre Baranov. I'm the engineer on the project. So, yeah, certainly we hear you, Mr. Brooks, on those. And with regard to the flooding, we did have a drainage study that was done in order to make sure that there's no additional runoff. So the way that we're dealing with some of that is by underground infiltration, and we're putting in some swales to handle some of that runoff. But that is a factor that we're taking into account, and we are looking into that. So there's some analysis that's being done, some calculations that are making sure that the system is accommodating that. So taking that certainly into account. Regarding the kind of the reciprocal use of that easement, yeah, I was out there and took a look at the back of the property, and it looks very nice back there, and that should still be maintained. And at the top of the slope, we're actually proposing a sound wall. So instead of the wood fence that you currently have. So we're trying to mitigate that situation best we can. We realize, of course, there's additional circulation in that back area, but we're trying to accommodate it best we can. Yeah, thank you.
Member Wood, that concludes your comments for this item. There's no other public comments.
Sorry, just for the record, sorry, and I should have announced myself, but it's Member Friedman.
Oh, I'm sorry, Member Friedman. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
No problem at all. So for the applicant, with this sound wall, I think that's a great idea to add to the improvement. And this is something that we always encourage on every application. And I hope the individual who made the public comment is back on and able to hear. But to stay in touch with the neighbors in the area, and for them to be able to have an open dialogue with you around any improvements that may need to be made. This is obviously a long-term improvement that you're working toward. So I think that there's a lot of time and maybe different things that change over time as well. Is there a particular way that members of the public should engage with the church? Certainly COVID makes it a little bit more difficult, but is there a certain individual who's sort of responsible for this project if they were to call at any point?
Yeah, Brian, maybe you could speak to a contact person at the church directly.
Yes, so I can provide my contact information if you'd like to speak with me, or the church office is available Tuesday through Friday during normal hours. Walk right on in and talk with somebody there. We're happy to engage with anyone who wants to talk.
Yeah, we did, this is Andre Baranov again. We did a couple of neighborhood meetings, but I mean, COVID certainly was just beginning when we did those. And we did one on Zoom. So we've been reaching out, but both of those didn't, they were both no-shows. So, which, you know, it's understandable given the complexity and the newness of everything that was going on.
Appreciate that you're making. At this point, we will go to general comment and discussion from Cpac members. And we can sort of open it up generally to discussion, but I'll go through, if there are any comments. I'll start this time with Member Bowman.
No comments. I truly appreciate the thoroughness on taking everything into consideration, including the underground drainage and sound wall and the entire presentation in its in full. So thank you.
Member Lees?
I have no comment. It's looks like a good project.
Member Starkovich?
No comment. I thank you for pointing out, Chair, that just keep the neighbors involved as best you can. I know that that's going on. Thank you.
Member Wood?
Well, you know what my comment's going to be. There are
drainage.
There are several pervious products that can be put down in parking lots, and if drainage is an issue, you know, swales and things are good, and anything that helps slow the water and encourage infiltration. But you might also look at the materials going down in the parking area, and if you can get approval for pervious pavement, that might also help with some of the flooding and drainage issues. So other than that, you know, it looks like you're trying to be sensitive and take some of the neighbors' concerns to heart. So good luck.
No further comments to add to that. So at this point, did anyone want to make a motion to recommend or deny? Just reiterating, I don't want to sway anyone, but just to remind members that attendees that we don't vote on items, we make recommendations on items.
Member Bowman make a recommendation to approve as proposed. A motion to recommend as proposed.
Do I hear a second?
Member Wood, I second.
Okay, and then we will do a roll call vote.
This is Darrell with the clerk of the board. Member Bowman?
Yes.
Member Korkos?
Approve.
Member Lees?
Approve.
Member Starkovich?
Approve.
Member Walter? Member Wood?
Approve.
And Member Freeman?
Approve.
And your motion carries with Member Walter being absent.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, nice little sound effect at the end. Perfect. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck with your project.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Belites.
Okay. And we'll move on to item number 2 on the agenda, PLNP 2020-00291, and that's 8572 Sunset Avenue, and this is an early Cpac workshop. So I just want to, I know we have a number of comments that came in, and I believe we have some comments that will be dialed in as well for this item. I just want to state that on workshop items, this is something that we encourage for any item, because this gives an opportunity for the county as well as the applicant to present in front of the Cpac and get feedback. So all feedback is welcome. We encourage feedback to be as constructive as possible and to offer suggestions where improvements can be made and how we can encourage the best use of our community. So this is something that we always encourage applicants. So it's nice to see workshops come before us. And we'll start, I believe there's a presentation by the county.
Thank you. Good evening, Cpac members. My name is Jessie Shen, and I'll be doing the presentation. Next slide, please. Just a quick reminder that project materials can be viewed on our project viewer, and the best way and the easiest way to access them is to use the control number for the project, which is PLNP 2020-00291. Next slide, please. The project site is located at 8572 Sunset Avenue, approximately 650 feet east of the Sunset Avenue and Kenneth Avenue intersection in the Fair Oaks community. The site is 9.24 acres and is zoned residential 2 RD2. Next slide, please. The proposal is to divide approximately 9.24 acres into 18 lots for the purposes of developing single-family residential dwellings. The proposed detached structures would range between 2,400 to 4,000 square feet each, and the majority would be single-story. Additionally, detached accessory dwelling units are proposed on 9 lots, and the resultant lots would be approximately half an acre each and would be served by a gated private drive from Sunset Avenue. Next slide, please. This is a zoom in of the entry details of the gated private drive from Sunset Avenue. Next slide, please. And this is the landscape plan. The applicant is proposing tree lining the private drive. Next slide, please. And these are conceptual home styles also provided by the applicant. We anticipate the entitlements if a formal application is submitted to be a tentative subdivision map, a special development permit, and design review. Just a reminder, as the chair had indicated, this project is a workshop item and is for information sharing purposes only, and no formal application has been filed with PER yet, and the applicant is coming to the Cpac to solicit preliminary comments and suggestions from the community. And that concludes my presentation. I believe the developer, Tim Lee, is on, as well as the owner. I'm not seeing the owner, but maybe they are on. Yeah. Thank you.
Chair Friedman, we'll do a quick round to see if there are any questions for the county first from the Cpac members. So we'll just do a quick roll call there. Member Bowman, any questions for the county?
Not for the county at this time, thanks.
Thank you. Member Korkos? Member Lease?
I'm curious. I live fairly close to there, and just concerned about the traffic up and down Sunset. And this. Are they planning stop signs in that? Or a four-way stop at that entrance?
To my knowledge, I don't know of any improvements that are being initiated by the county. If the project requires a local traffic impact analysis, that could be one of the mitigation measures identified for the project. But we won't know that until an application is submitted and then DOT does their trip generation for the project.
Would that be a better question for the applicant?
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can ask that one again, because that will definitely come up.
Yeah. Okay.
Member Starkovich?
Traffic is a concern there with the school and everything. I guess the question would be are there improvements planned at the Kenneth Sunset or any change there where we still have a human in a vest with a stop sign trying to manage traffic already there with the school?
I think that's the same question about traffic impact analysis. So we'll make sure that the applicant addresses that, and then we'll get a number of comments around that on the public comment. Member Wood, any questions for the county?
None for the county.
Thank you. And then so at this time, we'll ask the applicant to present.
Yes, this is Timothy Lee with Tower Development. Can you hear me?
We can, thank you.
Okay, would it be possible to go back to slide number 3? Start there. One more. Oh, all right, there we go. Okay. As mentioned, this is a roughly 9 1/4 acre parcel. It's been owned by the Rossi family for over the last 100 years, and it's been operated as an orchard during that time. They ceased operation of the orchard about 13 years ago and stopped irrigating the trees due to cost. Fair Oaks Water District changed their water rates from a farm rate to a residential rate. When we went into contract on this property, we looked at design considerations that we thought were important, and density, obviously, we knew was important to the community, drainage, traffic impacts to the neighborhood, the existing trees, of course, safety, and then the history of the property and the community. Next slide, please. So what we were proposing is a 18-lot gated community with the entry off of Sunset, and it would have a homeowners association that would maintain the common areas, the landscaping out along Sunset, sound wall, the entry statement, and as mentioned, the lots would average a ½ acres. And what we did was, because when we got in there, we wanted to get in front of the workshop. We didn't have a lot of time, so we put together this circular drive. We're more leaning towards ending it with a cul-de-sac over in that lower left corner now, so it kind of would be like an upside down J, kind of going around. It allows for a little bit larger lots in the project, a little less streets. We, talked early on with traffic, with transportation, engineering, fire department, water resources, to make sure that we were addressing the correct things. With respect to the homes that we were showing there, we had told the architect to show how some accessory dwelling units could fit on the lots, but it's not our intent as a developer to build 9. He just happened to show 9 on there. We just thought that maybe somebody would want something for, their parents or grandparents. If they wanted to, the ordinance allows for it. So we were just kind of showing how it would be there. But the intent's not to build 9 accessory dwelling units. Most likely, ourselves, we're not going to build any on a speculative basis. We would build a home, we would sell it. What we have found history-wise is sometimes people build another garage on a ½ acre lot. They build a workshop. To date, we haven't had anybody build an accessory dwelling unit, but it's something that's allowed currently in the county ordinance, and so that's why we had showed that on there. We intend to use low impact development standards, and so what that means is we're going to do a drainage study so that there will be no increases to the 100-year overland release flows onto any adjoining properties. Our private street design will have asphalt for the fire lane portion, but then when you get off to the side of that for parking, it's going to be a pervious surface structure like a paver or a decomposed granite. The private driveways will be all pavers. We are going to use disconnected downspouts. And so what that means is you get your rain gutters, your downspouts come down, you pipe it away from the foundation, but then you let it pop back up and perk into some bioretention cells or rain gardens. Bioswales can be used as well. So these are ways to make sure that the drainage doesn't become an issue. Next slide, please. So what we did is we aligned the gate entry with Massey Court. It's the safest location at top of the hill. We wanted to make sure that there were good sight lines to the east and to the west, so that when people pulled out, it was a safe way to do it. We also pushed the gate much farther back, more than twice as far back as required by ordinance, because we wanted the ability for, 2-3 cars show up at the same time. We want them to easily pull in there and not be backing up traffic onto Sunset. The entry design, we want to acknowledge the property's history as an orchard. So we were thinking for the sound wall, while it would be a masonry construction, then we were going to face it with like heavy timber and just give it a more rustic feel. And there's some existing structures on site that will end up being repurposes. So we'll use their materials throughout the project. There's a couple old homes and some out structures that are located there. And then Sunset Avenue will get Class B improvements to match what was done on the north side of the street across from when Massey Court went in. So Sunset will get larger, throughout that section along there, and have curb and gutter. Next slide, please. So as mentioned, the property was an olive and orange orchard. They stopped irrigating it about 13 years ago. We had an arborist report done. There's about 569 trees that have been identified on site. 374 of those trees possess problems that can't be managed by professional tree care practices and are recommended for removal, including a large oak tree that was near the entry. We also have 2 large cypresses that are in the Sunset right-of-way and will need to be removed. So we have about 193 healthy trees remaining. The majority of those will be preserved, including a large ponderosa pine and cypress at the entry. And then a lot of these trees that survived were old olive trees. And so what we're proposing to do is to transplant some of those trees so that they line along Sunset in front of the sound wall, and then we're going to line the private drive in the project with the olive trees as well. Next drive, please. Next slide. And as mentioned, mostly single-family homes ranging approximately 2,400 to 4,000 square feet. We're looking at minimum front yard setbacks of 40 feet for these homes. As I mentioned, we're not looking to build any accessory dwelling units ourselves. It's possible that someone that buys a home from us wants to have one built, and that would be allowed, but it's not something that we would be doing as a builder. Spanish colonial ranch farmhouse styles kind of exemplify the homes of early California, so we're kind of going with that style. Of course, using modern materials and design, courtyards, patio, porches, low walls, roof lines, inviting outdoor gathering areas, coupled with landscape design that's water efficient and helps with any drainage issues. So in conclusion, we're very excited about it. We think it's a fabulous piece of property, and we think this will be a great place to live. We've been building homes over the last 40 years, and we're looking to really create a really special place here. And some of the people in our are actually going to live here as well. Felt that we existing trees, safety.
Just want to remind the folks on the line, if you're not presenting, to put yourself on mute. background noise, which I don't think is from the presenter.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you.
That's in conclusion of the project. Any questions?
Okay. Thank you very much for that presentation. We'll start with questions from Cpac members. As you know, as a workshop, this can be a little bit less formal in our process, but we'll see if they have any questions, and then of course we will go on to public comment. We have a number of things that have come in to be addressed, and then I believe some people on the line as well. So we'll start in reverse order this time. Member Wood, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Not really any questions. I applaud your thinking on this project. You certainly use all the right terminology and have looked at a lot of good things. LID development standards are fun to work with, fun to incorporate, and when done right can be cost effective and have a real positive environmental impact on the results of the project. To me, it looks like a good project. You're not overbuilding the lot. People are going to raise traffic as a concern, but this really is not a whole lot of additional traffic, considering what Sunset already sees. And yeah, with the school around the corner, I'm sure traffic gets really, really nasty in the mornings, but another 18 homes is really not going to add substantially to the hundreds of cars that are going down there. You're going to have to fight that battle. I personally like the original layout. The way you had the 4 center lots together makes that nice little open space where all the lots join. I just thought that was kind of nice. Gave a little bit more of an open spot. I don't know with your cul-de-sac J Street thing if you'll still end up with that kind of joint open space area. So look forward to seeing how this progresses.
Thank you.
Member Wood and Member Starkovich?
Yes, thank you. Yes, thanks for the presentation. It is a nice looking project, and I think that Member Wood said something like not overbuilt, and I think it's that the lots that you retain, that lot size, I think it does fit well with that kind of area there. The graphics look really good. The landscaping is shaping up, and as the centering or the J, depending on which way it goes, I'm sure that will come to more refinement and everything like that. But no, we're looking forward to watching it as it evolves.
Thank you.
Member Lees?
I have just a suggestion that may work. I know that putting up these sound walls seems to refract the sound to the other side, and I don't believe that there's other sound walls in that area. Is there any way that you could, maybe just berm that side? And I know that a lot of other places do berms, and it seems as if that absorbs the sound a lot better than the sound walls do.
That's an interesting idea. It's something we could look at. There is Massey Court has a sound wall, so I would say maybe 50% of the property is fronted by a sound wall on the north side. But
okay, I couldn't remember if they did or not. It seemed like there was that you could look right into that court.
Yeah, and we felt that by facing the sound wall with the heavy timbers, that will help acoustically as well. So instead of going up and hitting a block wall, you're going to have wood now, heavy timbers. Yeah. Got some gaps, and they're going to be set off of the wall a little bit. So that will help provide on some of that acoustic as well.
I've noticed in other states, some of the states that I've been to, that instead of doing sound walls, they do these berms, and it seems like the subdivisions are quieter that way, and
Right.
even traffic noise seems to go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But it takes up land, so
it does.
for you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Member Corcos?
I just couple simple questions. Is there any reason why you're limiting it to just that one entrance and not tying it into the streets in the back to help maybe some traffic flow?
Yes. In fact, we got wind from the neighbors to the south that they really didn't want it. They felt they would become an offload for Kenneth, because they go all the way down to Winding Way, and then so that'd be a direct shot from Winding Way all the way up to Sunset on Kewanee. And so they felt if that got opened up, their quiet neighborhood wouldn't be quiet anymore.
Fair enough. That's all for me.
Okay.
All right, thank you. And Member Bowman?
Yeah, again, just minimal questions. Piggybacking on what Member Corcos just said, I had driven out there and was out there this morning, actually. It looked like there's that back gate. So I was wondering that same thing about if that's utilized and incorporated as like or can be as like a fire exit only. Just because I see that, the only concern I have is the one entrance and exit with no visible fire exit or anything towards the rear side, like Member Corcos was talking about. So is there any plan to incorporate that?
Currently, fire department allows up to 39 homes on one entry, and we're below 50% of their threshold, at 18, and so we weren't looking at putting an additional entry down there. Mainly for that reason is that it's the lotting that we currently have is well below what the fire department thinks is necessary to have a second entrance.
And that makes sense. Yeah, that's the only thing as far as I guess you could say concern that I saw with the design. I do have to admit that the design that you have on slide 6 with the full circle with the 4 properties backing up to each other, I do personally like that design and think that might be better than the J personally. So that's just my own input there. And the only other thing I can really think of at this point would be taking into consideration the mailbox structure and security, if there's a way to maybe move it on the other side of the gate, or if it's going to be secured, thinking about that as you proceed. And otherwise, I know there's going to be a lot of comment on traffic, but being there at 7:45 this morning, even without school in progress, there's already a decent amount of traffic, and I have to agree that considering what could go in there and the number of units that could take place, I think this is going to be the best use of that property with the most minimal traffic impact versus what it could be. So I think it's well thought out, and I truly appreciate you coming to do the workshop and taking the time and energy and expense to get early public comment to make sure that you continue to listen to the community and take their input.
Absolutely. We really appreciate all the comments and the input at this stage.
Thank you, Member Bowman. This is Chair Frieden. I also like this design that's being shown now, well, with the center square layout. And I think Member Bowman brought up a good point about the mailbox location. I don't know if it was already stated, but will this be street pickup for trash and recycling, green waste?
No, that was just going to be kind of something that looked like maybe, a farm stand, that you would see for an orchard if you were going to go buy some strawberries or oranges or something. So it was kind of just, trying to keep that theme. And it would just been a secured location for people to go in and get their mail. So it was an easy place for the post office to come drop the mail off to. And then as people were coming in, it has a separate little pull-out area where you could park, as to not block any other traffic and grab your mail. So
gotcha. Yeah, I understand on that. And for trash, recycling, green waste, that will be street pickup?
Yeah, that'd just be like normal pickup on any other street. People will it out on Tuesday or Thursday, whatever the day is, for them to do it, and it'll be curbside, and the trucks.
And the width of this street, does this allow this width allow street parking?
It does. What we're doing is it's a 36-foot wide street, so it's actually you have a 20-foot fire lane and then 8 feet on each side for parking. And so like a typical county right away is 40 feet, but that includes, 4 feet of sidewalk on either side. So you end up with a 32-foot wide structure. So this is actually, because it's private, the fire department makes you go a little wider. They get away with it. It's not, they have to live with the county standard on a public street. So we'll end up being set so that you can park on both sides.
Yeah, I think the proposed landscaping is especially nice, in the proposed look of the properties. I also appreciate that you address that the intent is not necessarily to put accessory dwellings on each or any of the properties, but of course that is allowable by county and in fact statewide standards. So I appreciate you addressing that we may not necessarily, I know there was some concern that we'll get in public comment that this may, nearly double the number of residents and individuals.
Right. People were thinking it was a way to try to get around something. That was not the intent at all. It was something just to kind of show how another structure could sit on the property if somebody was to choose that. Just showing that the lots are large and that you have this ability.
Okay. Thank you very much. So at this time, we'll go into public comment. I'll start by summarizing the public comments that were sent in. And then after that, we'll open the lines to any individuals who would like to join to make a public comment. The maximum time for those public comments will be 3 minutes each. So I'll start again by summarizing. Did my best. We did have the opportunity, each of the Cpac members were sent all of the comments. There was one that was, I believe, was a duplicate. So it said there were 9, but I think there were, in fact, actually only 8 public comments that were submitted. Let me just bear with me. There we go. Okay, so the first public comment I have is from John and Sharon Peters. They are residents and adjacent to the property. Their concern is lot size, traffic, and the maximum dwelling coverage limit. And actually, I'm going to pause there and see if the county can address that particular comment around the maximum square footage of dwelling coverage that's allowed on a property, taking into account potential of accessory dwelling units.
Hi, Chair. This is Jessie from the county. As long as each lot meets the setbacks required, it can cover that area, the primary dwelling. There are standards for ADUs, but if they're not being proposed as part of this project, I won't cover that.
Okay, thank you very much. And yeah, so generally they have concerns with the density of the lots being well, slightly under that half acre because of obviously the road usage and landscaping and setbacks and things like that. We'll give the applicant an opportunity to respond to all the public comments after this. The next comment was from...
This is Man Media, Senior Planner. Yeah, when we're looking at these lots, when we count in private drives, they actually go out to the center of the private drive, each lot. So even though some smaller, yeah, the lot is, because it's not public streets, we do go out to the center of the private drive for each lot.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
Mm-hmm.
No. The next comment from Rosalind Pierce, also in the neighboring area. And actually, so let me quickly, for the purpose of the county, go back to John and Sharon Peters' comment. They noted that they weren't noticed for this item. They may not be within the actual distance of the area to be noticed, but they would like to be noticed. So I'd like to just put that on record so the clerk can add them to the list. So their address was in fact on the comment, so they can be added to that.
Hi, Chair. This is Betsy again. I had corresponded subsequently with the commenter, and they ended up receiving the notice, but just later than their neighbors did.
Oh, perfect. Oh, great.
They are on the mailing list, yes.
Okay, yes. I know there's been some postal delays, so thank you, everyone, for your patience with that. Rosalind Pierce, concerns are traffic, and she did ask if multiple entrances were possible. I know we addressed that. There was a concern over new development adding additional cars and the density to lead out to another street, but that was addressed by the applicant. And the next comment is, and I apologize if I mispronounce his name, Nazi Tajbakash. And the concern was traffic congestion, density of the properties, and the commenter did have a question specifically around the potential completion date and the impact of property tax. Just so we don't get too caught up in each comment, I'll pause and see if the applicant or the county has feedback on that. First, around the potential completion date.
As an applicant, we expect the entitlements to take roughly about a year, and then we have to go through design and of improvement plans and then the actual improvement of the finished lots. So we're probably a couple years to having finished lots ready to start building homes on.
Okay, thank you. And then for the county or the applicant, impact of property taxes for the surrounding properties?
Well, my understanding of Prop 13 is that, what we do on this property is not going to affect an adjoining property owner. I mean, if a property owner made an improvement to their property, or if they sold their property, then their property would be reassessed at that time. Otherwise, they're subject to a maximum of a 2% increase annually.
Okay. Yeah, that's my understanding as well. I don't think, did the county have anything different to add to that?
No, that's pretty much a true statement.
Okay, great, thank you. The next comment is from Kristen Van Dam. Kristen has concerns over the fire safety, wildfire hazard brought on by more development, and she encourages conservation and adherence to density guidelines and an assessment of evacuation plans. She herself is a fire ecologist. So the next comment was from Leslie Sisko. Leslie's concerns are flooding, traffic, and particularly pedestrian risks and changes to the rural atmosphere. The next comment was from Teresa Roberts and James Yee. Their questions are around traffic along Sunset Boulevard and throughout the immediate neighborhood. They object to an entry off of Sunset. Concerns regarding the density of the property and concerns around the zoning density, lots being larger than the proposed amount. And they do share property line with this. Apologies, this is a longer comment. They are in favor of the plan to build mostly single-story homes, but they are concerned that the ADUs may lead to more two-story structures. And I think we've addressed some of that with the rules around accessory dwelling units and that they're not necessarily proposed in the plan. And they have some specific questions, a list of specific questions. I'll actually go through those so we can address those because this is a workshop. We'll take a little time with that. They are asking the anticipated benefits of the development to the neighborhood and the rationale and reasons for wanting to build 9 AD. I think we've already addressed that actually, and any financial incentives for building ADUs. So I don't know if the applicant wants to start with those ones. We can.
So the first one, anticipated benefits of the development to their neighborhood. You know, I think it's going to bring in some new families, and probably we'll see some families coming in with some children, some older families. It's going to help bring a few more bodies that do different things, a little more diversity. It's going to be. These are going to be nice homes on nice lots. So it will help the overall value of the neighborhood because you're going to have these are going to be nice homes. And the rationale for wanting to build 9 ADUs, we already talked about that. We don't want to build 9 ADUs. We're not going to build one on a speculative basis. We don't have a financial incentive for building an ADU. Now, when someone moves in there and they might want their parents or their grandparents to live with them, or they might have children that come and visit and they don't want them really staying in the house with them, you know, they want them, you know, a little bit away, they might build it for that purpose. But they're doing that and there's not a financial incentive, it's just to accommodate a family need. And then, you know, historically, as a builder, we've always built single-story homes, and so you know that's what we build. You know, we think that they have more value, they're more popular, and then what type of boundary wall? So you know, typically.
Yeah, just for the record, there was another question about the type of boundary wall on the west side of the development.
Yeah, that goes along that. So, you know, what we build between our properties and at the rear of our properties are, you know, upgraded redwood fence. So it's not, you know, your standard redwood fence that you would see. We do, you know, board on board, and you know, we put nice trims and caps on them. And so that's the type of fence that we build between our homes and in the backyards.
And then there's a final question, which probably should be addressed by the county. Can ADUs, accessory dwelling units, be used as short-term housing like VRBOs, VRBOs, or like an Airbnb in this area of the county? I believe the answer is yes. That I don't believe the county has restrictions on that.
Yeah, we don't restrict that.
Yeah. So I guess the answer would be actually that the accessory dwelling units, as much as the main property of the house, actually, either one could be utilized in that way if that was the decision of the property owner built.
Yeah, I mean, they might set some HOA restrictions on that, but the county.
True.
Yeah, we in the past in our HRAs, you know, we have it that the minimum you could rent a place for is 30 days. You know, the last thing we want is people renting their places out for the weekend and the problems that are associated with that.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. And then the next comment is from Barbara Castelli, and they had a question about extension of road. So interested in the plans to extend Kiwani Street, I don't know if I pronounced that street right, northward, beyond where it currently ends. And they're concerned about the opening that street up and the result of more traffic. Is that one proposed to widen through this plan?
No, that's the one we're saying that we're not doing. So Kiwani property to the south, in that we were sensitive to that neighborhood not wanting us to open that up.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, sorry. A couple documents open here, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, no.
And then the final comment is a longtime resident of the area, particular concerns around safety of bicycles and pedestrians, and the concern around maintaining walkable streets, larger lots. And the other concern is safe routes to the school, potential bike lane safety, and longer comment. So that comment is entered into the record as well. So at this time, we can open if there's anyone on the phone for public comment.
Yes, this is Darrell, the clerk of the board. Yes, we currently have 3 public comments on the line right now, so we'll go ahead and get the first one sent in.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm going to transfer you in. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you. You have three minutes to make your comment. Please start with your comments, ma'am.
Robert, I did actually submit a pretty extensive written comments too. Some of those have been answered or no longer relevant, especially about the ADUs. I'll start by saying I do like the overall look of the development, and let me identify a little bit more.
If you could mute the meeting in the background, that would help you out, and it won't distract you.
I don't have a meeting in the background.
However you're watching the meeting, if you want to mute that.
I hear myself.
Yes, if you could mute your computer, or are you watching it from your computer?
I am.
Okay, do you?
Oh, I see.
Yes, okay.
Okay, I think I got
Makes a little bit of an echo.
Okay, there you go. I think I can hear that now. There. Why don't you start over with your comments, and we'll restart the time.
Okay. My name is here, an 800-foot long property line with the development on the west side. And I sent in also a quite extensive number of comments. I'm the person who did those questions. My questions and concerns about the ADUs, I think they've been addressed. I'm overall positive about the look of the project. The question about the traffic on Sunset, I would like to raise the sensitivity about that issue a little bit more. I have detailed that in my letter. But as it is, and right there, I am, like I said, my entire, I have 2 acres right next to them, and I share the entire property line. But after the Hazel Widening project started and the 2-lane jump was put onto Sunset, and then the speed bumps were put onto Mark Smith, and right up to COVID, in the afternoon, certainly from about 4 to 5:30, 5:45, traffic would be backed up all the way to my existing gate, and which would be all the way up the entrance to the property at the stop sign. So the day I was out there, I counted 10 cars, stop sign at 4:45 in the COVID times, and it's really gotten a lot better. I also wanted to make a comment about Kiwani Street. That if that entrance came off Kiwani, or there were two entrances off Kewanee. If that didn't become a street that went all, if it was a gated community, it couldn't create traffic beyond the persons in the residence. In other words, they wouldn't be able to go from the back Kewanee all the way out to Sunset. So that's a little more detail about the traffic situation. I think it really does merit some really careful looking at. All the way, the traffic backs up all the way past that proposed entrance, meaning you can't turn. I can't turn left out of my driveway, nor would those people be able to. Secondly, I do want to sort of raise attention to things I didn't see before because I'd never seen the plan. But the place where, as I read it, is the smallest setback from the property line is actually on that side that I share the property line is proposed 5 of the total of 18 houses. And that goes all the way along my driveway. And the 2 with the smallest setback sit right at where my front door is, if I can read that correctly. So I know that an 800-foot long fence is a really long fence, but a wood fence there is, from my point of view, in terms of with taking a third of the density of the house is just about, it is going to, I would like that there be consideration and wood fence that would be both particularly sound reducing.
Does that conclude?
Okay, that's my comment.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. And go ahead and put your sound on again. Okay, I'll get your next caller if you can just hang on 1 second.
Then be ready to.
Okay, caller, you have 3 minutes to make your public comment. Please start with your comments.
Okay, thank you. My name is Rebecca, and we back up to your lot 8 on the east side. So I have a statement, a request, and 2 comments and 2 questions. I'll go through all of them and then let you respond afterwards. The statement is that we very much like your road inside the property as shown on slide 6 or on page 6, what you have up right now. We appreciate that there's not a road going along the back of our property, so thank you for that. The request is on behalf of all of our neighbors that live on the east side. We really strongly request that it's only single level homes that are behind us so that there aren't people looking into our backyard. My questions are the type of the wall that you intend to put along the east side. I'm not sure I understand if that's wood or a sound wall. So if you could explain that, I'd appreciate that, and how high that is going to be. And also, are you also intending to take down the chain link fence that's along there, or would that remain and then you would just put up an additional wall or fence? So that's one question. And then the last question is, would you consider having fewer houses on larger lots? So those are my questions, and I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Okay, if that concludes your comment, I'm going to go to the next caller, and then they'll address all of the questions when they conclude with the public comments, okay? Next caller, just 1 second, please. Okay, caller, please start with your comments. You have 3 minutes to make your comments. And you can start now.
Hi, my name is Colonel Rose. I live on the south side of the property on Annette Ingle Way. My neighbors and I share the concerns with the previous caller about single-story homes on the back of our fence. I am a civil engineer. I have experience in land development. I am not concerned about drainage nor traffic. With the exception of, and I like the developer's approach on traffic, Kiwani should not go through. We, a couple of years ago, had a neighbor's child that was run over in front of our house by a Toyota Tacoma. She lived, thankfully. But we already have a lot of school traffic. 5 buses in the morning, 5 buses in the afternoon. All the moms take our route to pick up their children from school. It is already busy. With regards to fire that was brought up earlier, it doesn't make any sense for fire to come in through Widening or Kauai because Widening is tight. Sunset is the Hazel Avenue is the fire department. They're going to come down Sunset. And fencing between, you talked about Redwood. I think the neighbors are looking for symbols as echoed by the east property borders as well. I think that's really all that I had. I will say to say that as a civil, I actually support this development. I'm very happy with what you're proposing. I think we got a couple of things as neighbors to work out. Short of that, I'm in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes your comments, Chair Friedman. And I'll go ahead and close the public comment line now.
And we'll give the applicant a chance to respond, especially to the last 2 public comments that were in. Questions and statements were addressed. Is still on the line?
Yes, my associate, Mr. Daniel Benvenuti, I believe, wanted to address some of those issues. Daniel, are you available?
I am. Can you, Tim?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, good. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. I want you to know I took really good notes on this here. I've been developing for 45 years. We study this property very carefully, and I may not get all of your comments. I may not address all of your comments, but I'll do my best. First of all, to the last gentleman who's the engineer, your comments were exactly what the county planning department and traffic told us. They shied us away from going out to Kiwani, and we had several plans before we came up with this one here. We spent about 3 different meetings with the planning department. We had several meetings with the utility companies and for all the services, and we talked to the fire department before we decided to submit this plan to you for your thoughts and your consideration. Let's go back first of all to the gentlewoman who talked about lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 that goes down her street. I apologize for not walking across the property line and coming to meet you. I've been wanting to do that, and I've been reluctant to get over there just because of a lack of time. But I will come over and talk with you. I'm very open to a masonry wall there. I don't care for those double-sided heavy fences that we put in. When it backs up to somebody like you have some large, it looks like you have a couple of large commercial trucks that you take down there. Maybe they're for the horses, and you have more of a heavier route wall there than just neighbors driving by you. So I understand that. So I'll work that out with you. And when I say I'll work that out with you, I mean that sincerely, that I'll strongly consider to put in some type of a masonry fence there, and just make it look soft enough. The same thing that I'll have to work out with the people to the south of lot 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, when you get to lot 8, personally, I've instructed Tim Lee to work with the civil engineers and get that pad way down. I even talked to the elderly lady that owns the lot to the south of lot 8 to see if I could even buy that lot, because I wanted to grade it down as well. So I want to take down lot 8 and 9 and get that down there, because I don't like the proportion that it sits in the elevation to just the property itself, let alone to the offensiveness that it looks down on your property there. So I have some work to do on that. If I didn't see a need to put a masonry fence there, but perhaps you'll be comfortable with us removing that chain link fence and putting a very heavy two-sided solid heavier wood fence that would last a long time with steel posts. So there's no removing or having to replace the posts over a shorter period of time than necessary. So I'll get with you folks there too and work that out, so that you're really comfortable with what we're trying to do there. But if you come over the fence and you came onto the property, you could see there's a real need for it to be lowered. It doesn't look right on our side either. So I want you to know I'm very sensitive to that there. We too, like the circular road, we were investigating the cul-de-sac part because it made some of the lots bigger. Getting rid of the street that went through 11, 12, 13, and 14, and 16 and 15, it made those bigger, obviously, just because you got rid of that road. But we do like this plan better, but we were trying to get the maximum utilization of the properties. I also want the homeowner behind lot 8 to know that we looked at putting less lots here, because as Tim mentioned, several of the people who've worked for me for the past 38 years want to move here for their retirement home. I'm very excited about that. I think it's going to be a great project when we're done. And so I was looking at that, but I'll be very honest with you. I don't have the intentions of building these 18 lots. I am not selling lots. I am building the homes. We will build them. We will build the homes to my specifications, to what I want this project to look like, and then we'll sell them. And in the process with that, I am not going to build all 18 homes anytime soon. I plan on doing 9 of them within the first couple of years that we're ready to break ground, and the rest I'm going to sit on. I know that that's not comforting thoughts for the 9 people who live in here, because they have to deal with this ongoing construction. But when you look in your Fair Oaks area, there's not another piece of property around that has the potential and the value that this property has. I'm going to be very careful in the disposition of this property. I'm going to be very careful on how we go about this. Also, those ADU homes, we don't like them, but the state of California allows these everywhere. On your properties, probably everyone who's on this phone and everyone who's in this whole surrounding area, for that matter, everyone everywhere, if you meet the minimum size requirement, you can put that on your property. We don't want to put that, because anybody who knows anything about construction, those little units are very expensive to build detached. Most likely what we're going to do, and you're going to see us do, is we'll put those in the 4,000 square foot homes interior. because now they have these beautiful next-gen homes that are being designed all over the place. Forget California, I mean everywhere, that they're taking these 375 square foot units that have a mini kitchen, a little sitting area, and their bedroom, and they're setting that up. When you walk into the house to the right or left side, it's not detached, it's part of the home, but it has a separate entrance. We're going to see probably that happen here, and you won't see those little homes there, because they're very expensive, and that's why we don't want to build them, because we get hung on the price per square foot that it costs us to build those versus what the comp is for that actual home. So they're not a good proposition for us, but they are something that we wanted to show on a plan that it's possible, because the parcels are so big. But I wanted to go back to the lady behind lot 8 and tell her that even though I don't plan on building all 18 homes anytime soon, I want you to know that I'm going to argue for the 18 lots. And it's simply because of the valuation on each lot is worth more money to me down the road than increasing larger lot sizes. Today, most people don't want a half-acre parcel. It's hard for them to take care of, especially to the home sites that we build. We build small custom homes, 18 to 2,400 square foot, that most of the people going into our homes in these locked-in areas, or these smaller infill areas, are seniors. They don't want the large homes, and they don't want the large properties. We're going to do a lot of that here. It's going to be a problem because the people don't want the larger lots and they don't want to maintain them. So we're going to hold back these large setbacks so that we can take care of these front yards through an association, and we don't have to worry about somebody not taking care of it, or the house is too close to the street and it makes their backyard too big, and so forth and so on. So I wanted you to know that the value to me as the property owner is to have those 18 lots. And I don't want to give that up, because like I said, if you're selling a half-acre lot or a 3/4 of an acre lot with a home on it, the home doesn't get more valuable because it has a larger lot to it. I hope you'll understand that and give me a chance to work out with you on the right designs for those homes that back up to your property that you're happy with, rather than try to get me to reduce a lot. You'll find me to be very cooperative in the spirit in making sure that you're comfortable continuing to live in your house without the aggravation of the new guy coming on down the street that you have to deal with. So I hope that addresses those larger comments. I don't have a way to address the lady who has the fire degree background, because I've never came across that before in 50 years of building and 43 years of owning my own company. That's a new one to me, and I would be interested just to find out what the particulars are on that as well, just because it's something I'm not aware of. I don't know if I missed anybody else's thoughts here that would be important. Let me go back over these other notes here. I printed out everybody's notes here. I do want to tell you that I'm very interested to make sure that we do whatever we have to do to make sure the entrance and exit coming off of Sunset is adequate and safe for everybody. So we'll do a very good job with that, and you won't see us put up any restrictions with the county or fight with them on stuff that they recommend for us to do on that.
Okay, thank you very much. At this point, we'll go on to any comments that the Cpac has. I'll remind folks who may be on the line that this item is not subject to a vote, so it's a workshop, so it's really just conversational. But I'll start by opening up to any comments from Member Wood.
I had trouble with my mute button.
No problem.
No comments at this time. I think a lot of thought's gone into this, and I look forward to watching it develop.
Thank you.
Member Starkovich?
Yeah, I just want to thank the applicant for that informative and thoughtful response. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Member Leese?
I have no comments. I think this is a great infill.
Thank you.
Member Korkos? Make sure he's still on line. Member Korkos, any questions or comments?
I unmuted his mic and it doesn't seem like he's saying anything. So I think we're okay. Member Korkos, can you hear us okay? I don't know if maybe he dropped off.
No worries.
No, Member Bowman, nothing. Thank you very much to the applicant and all of the detailed information. I too very much appreciate this and look forward to seeing it come to fruition. Very nice project.
Thank you for your comments.
And this is Chair Friedman. I also appreciate the design, the effort that you've put in, and it's something that I think we're all looking forward to seeing this progress and what it sort of plays out to be. I would encourage, if there's an opportunity, to have a traffic impact analysis or study done, even if independently, just to make sure that things are addressed around the need for, if the county needs to widen streets, stop signs, stoplights, any of those things, that be followed through, and to continue to make attempts to communicate with the neighbors. Of course, as I said before, that's something that we always encourage, to make sure that you're communicating regularly and clearly. We know that's been complicated by COVID, but to offer opportunities throughout the project for input. Otherwise, as this item doesn't require a vote, that can conclude the workshop item, and we wish you luck, and we look forward to seeing and hearing this item in the future, if that is the case.
Well, thank you, Chairperson, for your input and doing such a great job hosting it, and thank everybody on the advisory.
Thank you very much. And at this time, our next item on the agenda is annual election of officers.
Okay, sorry, this is Jarrell with the clerk of the board. So at this time, you guys can decide if you want to, who you guys would want to nominate for the chair. And then we'll do the motion, the first and the second, and then we can do a roll call vote.
Okay, and I think for this one, we'll just open it up to conversation. Don't do any kind of roll call through for comments. Just anyone who's wanting to speak on this item can speak up.
Well, this is Member Wood, and technically this is my last meeting before my 6-year term expires. So I may, if no one else is appointed, I may fill in for the next couple meetings, but technically this is my last one. So I guess I don't feel comfortable nominating anyone or really participating.
Understood, that makes sense, yeah. Well, you will be very much missed. I hope we will continue to be able to work with you.
You'll see me around. I can't.
Okay. That's true. Any other comments on this item?
I don't necessarily have, just when does it actually, isn't it April, I thought?
For the terms of the
Thinking was February, and so the end of this month is actually the end of my 6 years. It all depends on when you start.
Sorry, this is Darrell with the clerk of the board. Yes, Member Wood's term would actually expire, I believe, January 31st. And typically until they would, unless she officially resigns and says that she wants to just go ahead and vacate the seat, typically districts will have members continue to sit until they have a replacement. But typically the seats usually expire the end of January, usually within the 2 years from the time that you took the seat.
I get you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
At this point, are CPACs still electing a secretary? I know I'd been secretary at one point, and
no, that was eliminated when they came out with the new Cpac, the bylaws, the community planning advisory bylaws. When that came out, that seat has been eliminated. So now we just have
because we have the form for each item.
Yes.
Okay. So we're looking to.
So at this point, we're only looking. Yeah, the chair and the vice chair. We're only looking for elections for that.
And does that start in February?
It would start at the next meeting. At the next meeting, which would be February, the new chair and the new chair would run the meeting, or vice chair if the chair is not available.
This is Member Starkovich.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, being this is my third or fourth meeting I've been able to attend, I'd be happy not to participate as chair or vice chair. So.
Okay. Okay. I guess to move things on, I was just going to say, if people, I am still happy to act as chair if that is people are supportive of. I know it's usually involves a little bit more in-person discussion. But.
And I am perfectly fine with vice chair again for another year, and I love the job that Rebecca is doing as well, so I would have no complaints with that.
This is Member Lee. Is this the time where I can make the motion that the two of you stay on?
Yeah, and it does require a motion, so yeah.
Okay, can I?
Yeah.
Both of you, and let's just leave it the way it is.
I'm sorry, there's a little bit of an echo. This is Darrell with the clerk of the board.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of an echo there, so we just want to make sure we can hear everyone clearly. So I think I heard that someone was making a motion. Was that Member Elise?
Yeah, I'd like to motion that we leave the chairs in place and move forward.
Okay. So first, let's start with let's just do with the chair. So there's a motion for the chair to be Member Friedman. So that's a motion from Member Lees, and then is there a second?
Member Bowman, I'll second.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the roll call vote. Member Friedman?
Yes.
Member Bowman?
Yes.
Member Corpos? Member Lees?
Yes.
Member Starkovic?
Yes.
Member Walter? And Member Woods?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. So Chairperson Friedman, you're going to remain the chair. And as for the vice chair, Member Lees, did you still want a motion for vice chair to be the vice chair, continue to be the vice chair?
Yes.
Okay, and then second, is it still going to be Mr. Bowman?
Sure, unless
He
anybody
is
else.
the vice chair. I can, this is Chair Friedman. I'd like to second that motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
By Chair Friedman. Okay, so I'm going to do the roll call vote. Member Friedman,
Yes.
Member Bowman,
Yes.
Member Porcos, Member Lease,
Yes.
Member Sarkovic,
Yes.
Member Walter, and Member Wood.
Yes.
And your motion carries.
Very much. Okay, next item is staff updates. Are there any staff updates from the county?
No, there are no updates at this time.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Any updates from the council members?
No comments. Thank you.
I know there was actually a question that came to me earlier around how the terms are, and I think that was actually answered when Member Wood mentioned her term is coming to an end. So terms do start and end based on when the individual's appointment was and the years following that. So
Yes, and just by the way, the clerk of the board's office, we typically do send out reapply letters, letting everyone know when their term is coming to be expired. Typically, that's what we do. And typically, when we have members such as Member Wood that's going to be termed out, we usually will send a letter. Once they vacate the seat, we send a letter letting you know that you have vacated the seat and that you are officially off the board, just so you know.
comments?
And I'm double checking right now to make sure there is no additional public comment. One moment. And there is no any off agenda public comment at this time.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right, well, in that case, I'll just say for our county staff, today especially is a day that we should all find appreciation for the hard work and resilience of government employees. So thank you all for your dedication to your work. We continue to appreciate the work that you do. I'll just leave it at that. Our next meeting is February 3rd. Until then, you be well, wear a mask, and we will speak to you all then. And the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Bye.